Madam Deputy President.
I call the Honourable Shane Mallard.
Madam Deputy President, this week is National Road Safety Week. It's an initiative of the Safer Australian Roads and Highways, the SARA Group org, has been symbolised by a yellow ribbon which has been projected upon the Opera House each night this week. I congratulate the New South Wales Government and the Roads Minister Melinda Pavey for their active support of this important initiative. Tragically, 1,226 people were killed on our roads in 2017 and another 35,000 were seriously injured. All of those statistics are real lives ended or scarred forever, and through those lives, thousands of others in families and friends and workmates impacted by the losses or the grief or the serious injury of someone they hold dear. Of course, aside from the personal losses, the economic losses are huge, with direct medical and emergency costs and the longer-term loss or reduction of productive years in our economy and our society. According to the Australian Government Department of Infrastructure, Regional Development and Cities, the Australian road toll for 2018 to March this year is 303 deaths on our roads, an increase of 44 deaths over the same period last year. That's a 17% increase. These tragic numbers are growing every year, but are actually totally preventable. On Saturday, the focus of National Road Safety Week will be on cyclists and on motorcyclists. Our cyclists and motorcyclists are our most vulnerable road user group. As a percentage of the road toll, they are massively overrepresented. Cyclists are suffering more serious injuries and deaths on the road crashes than ever before. The road safety statistics for fatality of cyclists for the first 3 months of 2017 show that 21 cyclists were killed on Australian roads. For the same period this year, up until the end of March, the figure is 43. That's more than double the figure year on year. That's one cyclist killed every second day. It seems all too frequent and all too tragic that we hear on the radio about another cyclist being knocked off their bike on a Sydney street, all too often with fatal consequences. Only 2 weeks ago, Andrew MacArthur, the son of a former federal member of Parliament, was killed at 7:20 a.m. cycling to work through Paddington, just a few kilometres from this Parliament. Sydney has an unenviable international reputation as being hostile to cyclists. The legendary Tour de France winner Cadel Evans says Sydney is one of only 2 cities in the world where he will not ride on the roads, that he would travel interstate to ride and train on a bicycle rather than risk it on our Sydney roads. That's not a unique statement. Every day we witness hostility directed towards cyclists. On our streets we witness road rage and hostility towards the cycling community. Social media is awash with anti-cycling posts and comments. I invite members just to Google the videos of cyclists being run off the roads, filmed on their own cameras on their helmets. It's often too frightening to watch. Fellow members, the case for accepting cycling as a legitimate and valid transport alternative in our wonderful city and suburbs should be clear and clearly settled by now. Increasing levels of cycling, whether commuting to work or small local trips to the shops or the school, inevitably lead to favourable outcomes for all citizens, not just those riding a bicycle. Fewer cars on the roads, better public transport, healthier commuters, cleaner air and a better environment. Fundamental to increasing cycling is increasing the safety of cycling. Just as we have a responsibility to make roads safer for motorists, we have an equal obligation to make the roads safer for cycling. Separating cyclists from cars through dedicated cycle lanes to ensure safety for all road users is a fundamental to this. We must recommence the stalled construction of the separated bike lanes in the city, completing the missing links and finally completing the 5-kilometre radius network of separated cycle lanes around our city. Unfortunately, in New South Wales, we've been sending quite mixed messages about cyclists. And equally as unfortunate, some members of the public and motorists have picked up on the hostility and projected towards cyclists on our roads. That could be through overt hostility and acts of road rage, or just the lack of caring or respect for cyclists on the roads. In hindsight, to me, it's regrettable that the government introduced laws that target minor infringements by cyclists for activities like riding without a helmet or riding on a footpath that are actually legal in most comparable countries around the world. The end result of that legislative direction has been the targeting of cyclists by the New South Wales Police. Most recently, Operation Pedro, held in late April, has been roundly criticised as an anti-bike operation. The operation saw 258 bicycle riders fined, mainly for not wearing a helmet or riding on the footpath. The latter is legal in all the states of Australia, except for New South Wales and Victoria. That compares to 160 fines for the same offences in Operation Pedro in 2017. The revenue from the state from this exercise was $65,000. As a result, there may be improved compliance, but more concerning is the hostility between the police and the cycling community that exists today that didn't exist before. Aside from infrastructure and government policy, more strongly supporting cycling, the toughest challenge is achieving culture change. Now more investment in infrastructure and more clearly supported government leadership will drive the changes towards attitudes of cycling. But lasting real culture change amongst our road users must be led from the top, led by government, corporations, employers and, importantly, the media. Now, cyclists and pedestrians are entitled to safe and enjoyable use of our road network, just like all other road users, and governments of all persuasions should redouble their efforts to create a city and state that supports that objective and reduce unnecessary deaths and injuries on our roads.